Hello, everyone. Appreciate you being patient with technology. Welcome to Straight from the Source, where we give you a lot of great information in terms of informative information, in terms of sports and entertainment. And in the community, we give you a lot of health and wellness information. Appreciate you being back with us. I have a wonderful guest on my show today. You don't go through things in life when it's something or someone that's worth it. And with these audio issues, it's been well worth the wait. Appreciate everyone who's still able to chime in. If you cannot catch the show, it's an early viewing for me, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. But you can catch us again on Facebook, as well as YouTube, as well as Twitter and Pinterest. Okay. All right. And we'll explain and leave all the details to that information as the show goes along. All right. Well, listen, without further delay, let me get started in introducing my first guest to Straight from the Source. All right. Again, he is a Dayton, Ohio native. All right. And he is a graduate of Dunbar High School. Okay. This gentleman came out in 1975, was a football as well as phenomenal basketball player for the Dunbar High School Wolverines. Uh, we're going to lean a little bit more towards his football career, where he was a menacing defensive end after high school for the University of Nebraska Cornhuskers, one of the top Power Five programs in all of the history of football. They've won 5 national championships, and he played for legendary coach Tom Osborne. He was a part, actually, of the beginning of all of that tradition at Nebraska. And we're going to delve into that, and I think it'll be a fun conversation, his Cornhusker career. Also, wanted to add that he's had stops now. You ready for this? As a head coach at Tennessee State University, all right, where he is the winningest coach in school history, percentage-wise, in a 4-year span. Are you ready for this? From 1996 through 1999, in back-to-back years, 98 and 99, coach, which I haven't revealed yet, won back-to-back conference championships, becoming the first and only African-American black head coach to win a conference championship within a predominantly white institution or affiliation, conference affiliation, excuse me. So just wanted to mention that. This is real historic interview here. He's coached and had stops all over the place. We'll get into some of his stops. He's coached about 10, 11, 12 different institutions, HBCU as well as PWIs. Without further ado, I'm going to get him out here. Dayton native, come from a family of 9 brothers. Are y'all ready for the man, the coach? Phenomenal person and family man. Please help me welcome to Straight from the Source, the show, the defensive coordinator now for Allen University in South Carolina, NCAA Division II. All right. Is defensive coordinator L.C. Cole joining the show right now. Coach Cole.
Good evening.
Good to hear your voice. Glad you can make it, man. I tell you, sometimes you don't know how it's going to be with technical issues and dealing with these things and podcasts and so on and so forth. But hopefully, we got you here. We can go ahead and get through this interview early for you today. Listen, I know it's a lot of things that I didn't get to because your resume is so long. Okay. Just want to start out a little bit about it. I know you're busy, don't have a lot of time. You're in the beginning of the season. All right. But before we get there, I want to take us back to your childhood. I want to take us back to your family background, your mom, a devoted Christian. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing with 9 brothers? And we'll get into that later. Phenomenal sports family that has went from, let's say, high school, grade school, high school, through the college ranks, and we can also speak about the professional ranks when it comes to the cold name. Can you speak a little bit about your upbringing? How did you get into football?
Well, my family was originated from Talladega, Alabama, is where my mother and father grew up at. And my father had some of his older siblings decided to move north up towards Ohio. And our first stop was Springfield, Ohio, where we was living at in Springfield, Ohio. So that's where I was born at, and one of my other brothers, Norris, we was born in Springfield, Ohio. And then my father migrated to Dayton, Ohio, where he ended up getting a job at DP&L. And so we moved to Dayton, and that's where we kind of like started at. My childhood really was, I would say, in Dayton, because I was about 3 years old when we left Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say almost a middle child. I'm the fourth child in the family of all boys. We lived down, and we really lived like three places. All right, we kind of lived on the east part of Dayton, and then we moved over to on Germantown and Randolph, and then we moved to Lakeview, where my parents, resides at now. So we kind of stayed in that Dunbar area, because of restrictions of, you had to go to different schools, so we stayed in that area. So I did as an elementary. I went to Wagaman Elementary School, and then all of a sudden we had moved to Randolph, so they said we was out of the district, so they made us go down to Miami Chapel, and that's where we kind of really kind of started at, and then ended up at Dunbar. But I always will go back for my whole family. Had to put a lot of emphasis on going to the boys' club and
Mm-hmm.
having great mentors that helped us along the way.
Absolutely appreciate that. And you throw that in about the boys club. Man, our days at the boys club, I tell you, just don't even get me started playing table tennis,
Well,
ping pong, basketball, boxing, whatever you wanted to get into. It was something to keep the kids off the streets, and it was
yeah,
something that
man, it was coming like a training center. Like a training center.
yeah.
You did everything there, just what you're saying here. I mean, they had everything you needed as a child coming through.
Absolutely, coach. Absolutely, coach. As we move forward here, when you got to Dunbar High School, can you just elaborate a little bit on what it was like during the mid 1970s? And as you speak about that in your football career there, add in the fact, coach, what was it like being recruited during the mid 1970s to a wonderful powerhouse, Power Five institution like Nebraska?
Well, when you look at it, and you're the fourth child, and then you have older siblings that played before you, and
Mm-hmm.
then you didn't have any, it wasn't any other choice that what direction you were going.
Yeah.
I had three other siblings that played on the high school team with me. I had Norris, I had Willie, which his name is Abu now, and then also I had Timothy Cole, my older brother, which he kind of like set the trend for the whole Cole family. And going down to Dunbar High School, we had a lot of great athletes because we all stayed together from Miami Chapel High School. And, when it come down to recruiting, I didn't really think that it was going to be the way it was, how it turned out. I wasn't looking for that. I would just love playing the game, and then all of a sudden, one letter come, next letter come. But I would say for myself, I was always lucky because when I was a freshman, I played JV and varsity football. Basketball, I played freshman and JV basketball. So I was always ahead of the game.
Mm, wow. Always ahead of the game. When you think back, just take us back a moment to one of your finest games that you remember playing at Dunbar High School and what that moment meant to you during that particular moment in your life.
Well, I always had to say the game was against Stivers Patterson. Well, it was Stivers at the time. Let's put it back there. It was Stivers, and they had a couple of great players over there. They had Frankie Sanders. They had Mitch. They had a lot of good players on their football team. We had Jay Carter. We had quite a few good players on our team. But Jay Carter got into foul trouble, and Mr. Coach Winborn and Coach Galloway called me up and they said, "Look here, uh, Frankie is out there hitting all these shots." And see, me and Frankie, we battled against each other ever since elementary, because he went to Irving and I went to Miami Chapel. So we battled each other all the way through. So I know him like a book. He knew me like a book. But I was a little bit more physical than Frankie. Frankie could shoot the ball, but it was my job to turn around to shut him down. And so that night, I ended up shutting him down. And I always think about that game.
Wow. When you say shut down Frankie J. Sanders, you talking about a legend. And it's from one legend to another. Tell
Right.
you a little story, Coach. I played against Frankie when I was a young kid because my brother, Bob Mitchell, was a star at Stivers from 1971 through 73. He spent his freshman year at Roosevelt. Then the busing situation kicked in. He goes over to Stivers and come out in 73. Frankie was a sophomore then. My brother sort of told Coach Shad Owens and them over there at Stivers, y'all need to bring Frankie J up, you know. And but to be able to play against those guys back in those days, they pushed us, made us better players, because of the game and the way that the game was played and the dedication that we put into it. But
Yeah.
that's wonderful that you mentioned
Right.
Frank
And,
Sanders.
and I want to say this now. I ain't shut him down. I just scored close to him. He scored something like 24, and I was like 21. So
Yeah, and that was a victory right there.
yeah, so we matched each other a little bit. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I'm just remembering. I know you remember my brother. He was 2 years before you. That same menacing defensive end on Stiver's side. Bob promises Mitchell. He was knocking heads off over there, man, at Stivers. And I just wanted to say that was such a wonderful era of football for you guys coming up in the mid 70s. But for players like yourself that went Division 1, it's a unique situation in a unique period in time in Dayton for those athletes who went Division 1 in the mid 70s. I mean, it's really a special, unique situation that you're in right there, Coach. Moving right along, because I got so much information in here on you. I could talk Nebraska all day. As you know, I went to college out there as well. But you were all Big 8 selection out there at the University of Nebraska. You were also the captain,
Yeah.
of the football team. It doesn't surprise me being a Cole. All I hear about you now from people that I speak with and some of your peers in the field, you've always been seriously. Let me see some of the things I've heard about you. You've always basically been about your business. If Coach say he gonna do something, Coach gonna do it. It's just the bottom line. You've always been held accountable, and you hold yourself accountable to others. And I really appreciate you for all the patience you've had with me in getting this interview set up. Uh, what was it like wearing the black shirts, earning and being? Tell the world what it's like to really be a black shirt.
Well, being a black kid that's leaving the city of Dayton and going all the way out to Nebraska, it was far away from home. I turned down a lot of colleges to go to Nebraska. Like I turned down Ohio State, Michigan, Missouri, Purdue. So I was highly recruited, but I decided to go to University of Nebraska, and I really liked it. A bunch of my students and everything, they kept on saying, "Where is Nebraska?" And I could just remember my next door neighbors and was teasing me about, when you get out there, you're gonna see Indians on horses and wild animals and all the different things. So it was almost kind of like scaring me about it. But when I went on a recruiting trip, it wasn't no different than Dayton. It just didn't have as many blacks in
Right.
Nebraska than you would in Dayton, Ohio. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like a adjustment when I first went there.
Yeah, but other than that, like I said, I've been out to Lincoln a few times and went to school out there in junior college in Norfolk in the late '80s at Northeast Tech Community College. But Lincoln, the things you remember is the streets with the letters and the different things of that
Yes.
sort, and they had a wonderful party life out there. I mean, those kids had fun. When you went to Nebraska, I mean, man, you talking about in a game at Memorial Stadium is something like going to the Horseshoe at Ohio State. People don't understand. It's an experience. It really is. And I really think even though they didn't have much success in their first game this season, week 0, that they're going to bounce back and have a very, very productive season this year. Coach, I got to ask you this. As you continued on after Nebraska, and you had your career there, you move on. Tell us a little bit about your opportunities. I'm still, I haven't even gotten to your coaching days yet. As a player, what was your opportunities like with the Denver Broncos and the New York Jets, and what was that experience like for you?
Well, it was different when you went to professional football, and it changed from college going to professional football because everything was different. When you're at Nebraska, everything is straight line, straight line, straight line. You have to be in order about this. But when you get to professional football, it was a little bit different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just remember my first game. Uh, it was against Philadelphia Eagles. And then at halftime you go into the locker room and then you start seeing. It was unusual to see guys just kick back and take a smoke during halftime and all that. And I just kind of blew my mind, like, wow, this goes on in professional football. At Nebraska, you wouldn't dare to do anything like that. So that was kind of a change. After I left New York, then I went back to Nebraska. And just a week later, my agent called me and said, hey, let's go out to Denver. And so I ended up going out to Denver Broncos, but I only stayed out the Denver Broncos for about 3 months. I just decided I wanted to do something else. When I was there, I seen a lot of players when I was a young kid growing up, seeing them out there still trying out and everything, and I just felt like I could do something a little bit different than that. And that's when I decided to go back into coaching, but I went back to Lincoln, and all of a sudden got another call to go down into the World Football League, and I went down to the World Football League and played, 3 football seasons down there, and then they changed and wanted to go to United States football, and that's when I changed, decided, look, I'm done with football. I want to start another career. So that's when I went back to Nebraska and became a graduate assistant, finished my degree, and started off coaching.
Wow. Very, very interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, you've had the whole gamut from all the way through elementary ball, now all the way up through college, and now here you are with a professional career. Now we get the chance to tackle and jump into some of your coaching career. Now, when you very first started, because I know you've had a number of stops, but what I want to highlight first and foremost, I want to get all the good stuff out right now. We can jump around, that's fine. Tennessee State University. Head football coach, 1996 through 1999. Let me express a little bit for our viewing listeners what the success was. You're in the Ohio Valley Conference, a predominantly white affiliated conference. You're the only black school, Tennessee State University, within this all white affiliated conference, the Ohio Valley Conference. You at When you inherit the program at Tennessee State, coach, I believe they had about, if I'm not mistaken, correct me, between 8 to 10 losing seasons
Well, it was a
during
little
that.
harder than that. It was harder than that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what happened when you have at least a decade of consecutive losing seasons, LC Cole is hired as the head coach. And Coach Cole, you come in there, and in your first 2 years, they see progress. But in the last 2 years, they see total dominance. And if I'm not mistaken, let me pull my notes up. I think you guys went 20-4 in your last 2 seasons and 13-1 in conference. You were coach of the year in the conference back-to-back years. You were also voted by Associated Press the National Coach of the Year in NCAA Division I 2A football. And let me add this, because coaches love this, and I do too. You improved the graduation rate while you were there. When you came in, I mean, it was very, very low, somewhere around 13, 14%. And you took
Right.
them up with 90% graduation rate, around 93%. Say no more. How does it feel? Because you're very humble to be the only African American I'm talking about who've done something for history.
Right. I mean, I always just give a lot of credit from my upbringing, and I would just go back to the teachers I had at Dunbar High School, the people I had in the community that were there. I just go through the church we belong to, our minister, and things that molded all of us into what we were as a family. You know, when you got a family of
Mm-hmm.
9 boys, you live in a neighborhood. They say it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, during that time, that's what really happened during that time for me. The amount of the accomplishments that I ended up, I had to give it to the community that I was in, the teachers and the coaches that I had during the time coming, especially my parents. You know, those I guess those whoopings and things I ended up getting, I guess they made a big difference in helping that discipline.
Absolutely. Those whoopings help. Believe it or not, I had them too. I had to pick my own switches. So I know, coach. Believe me, I know. All right, coach. So with that, you still very, very humble to have, you know, done such amazing achievement there. Now, you also, I want to add this, in that success, it wasn't easy. And you still standing here, it's 2022. Even back in 99, it's sad to say, but Eastern Kentucky University and the racial slurs and all of those type of things. Some of the things that you had to deal with and endure, in a modern day and time, to me,
Right.
is just, phenomenal. I just want to commend you for that. Now, that picture that I posted, you holding up, I mean, can you explain a little bit about them 7 rings?
I repeat the question again.
Can you explain a little bit in detail about those 7 rings that I posted on social media?
Oh,
That particular photo. Go over those
that
7 rings.
was that was high school. You know, we were doing pretty well, and the reporter came and just kind of came to my house and wanted to interview me at the house. He came to my house, and I guess every guy has a what they call a coach's den or a back room where guys have a little room. So he came
Mhm.
through, and then he started seeing all the pictures and started seeing all the rings. And he asked me to to put those rings on. So I just
Mhm.
kind of put them on and just held them up, and it was in the newspaper article down here in Alabama.
Well, coach, I mean, obviously 2 of them is OVC rings, right?
Right.
Obviously, Tennessee State. What other rings? You had high school was in there, and what were some of the other rings from the college
That
stops?
I had 2 rings there from the Orange Bowl when I was at Nebraska. We played in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
Won national championship when I played at Concordia in Selma, Alabama. We won the independent national championship. I had a all Big 8 championship ring sitting there. So those are always great. You're always looking for more accomplishments ahead once you do that. Now, I put those rings in the box, and I keep that drive going. When you look at them, I always say it's time for a new one every year. So the year changes every time. So you have to set your mind and everything for the next year.
Absolutely. I mean, you've been in colleges, let's add to it. You've been to, you've had success. I mean, you've been at Alabama State, as a head coach. You've been at Ball State University. You've been at the University of Cincinnati. You've been at New Mexico State. I mean, the list go on and on and on and on. Out of all of your stops and all of the knowledge and the coaches that you've been around, let's reverse and pivot just a little teeny bit. I know you had a experience. I always like to give people something that maybe they didn't know when they listen to Straight from the Source. I always try to give them something that's coming straight from the source that maybe they did not know. Let's talk about a little something me and you didn't discuss behind closed doors a little bit here. Your development as a coach. People listen to me, coaches and players and athletes. You listening in. Coaches go through symposiums and they go through different events where they meet with coaches and they learn and they talk about their crafts and different things like that. Tell us a little bit about your internship with my squad in the NFL, my Cleveland Browns, and your
Yes.
relationship,
When I
coach.
was at when I was at University of Wisconsin, our coach Don Morton, we ended up getting released from Wisconsin. I ended up getting a call about 11 o'clock midnight, and I didn't even know who the person really was or how famous he was. And it was Coach Nick Saban from the University of Alabama had called me and asked me that I wanted to come to the University of Toledo and coach with him. I'm just trying to figure out how. To this day, I have not asked him, "Why did you pick me? Why did you bring me there?" And the funny part about it, I was a defensive guy, and he brought me in as a running back coach, and I was had some concerns about that. I said, "Coach, I never coached offense before," and he just told me, "Hey, don't worry about it. We're going to bring people in from different places and teach you how to be a running back." And Toledo wasn't a winning season during the time we went there, so when I got there with Coach Saban, everything just changed. And to this day, I see why Alabama is the way they are because of the way he is and how his being a perfectionist about little things and the small, minute things that I found out about him coaching with him. And then when he left Toledo, he went to the Cleveland Browns. And then the next thing you know, I get a phone call back from him again, wanted me to come to the Cleveland Browns with him. So I leave and I go to the Cleveland Browns with him and do an internship with him at the Cleveland Browns. And who was at the Cleveland Browns? Bill Belichick. So I have had the experience of coaching with two of the best coaches in pro football and college football. And now, I wonder, this is the reason probably why I've been a little bit successful because of my really football knowledge from two of the most greatest coaches in college football and professional football.
Yeah, when you guys hear that out there listening in, and for those who will be chiming in on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and different things, listen, Coach here, Coach LC Cole, this is a mentor because we talk off camera, and this is a mentor to him. And you talking about Nick Saban, you talking about one of the greatest coaches forever uh, in the history of the game, and then called him not just once, but called him a second time. Then you're talking about Bill Belichick, not only one of the greatest coaches, I mean, just but in one of the greatest coaches ever. And it hurts me because I wish we could have still kept Coach Cole over it with the Browns and Belichick, and maybe I don't know how many Super Bowls we may have right now, but that's a wonderful, wonderful piece of information. You guys just heard it on the show, straight from the source. You guys didn't even know my guest today. That's the mentor. That's the right hand man, Alabama's own Nick Saban. And I appreciate you sharing that. That had to be a wonderful experience up there. Because I know I've been associated with the Browns backers. Anytime you get a chance to be associated, it's a program associated with former Cleveland Browns players and things like that. It's an honor, Coach. It's an honor. All right, Coach. Moving right along. You, I have to ask this question, and I know I'm moving around, but I gotta ask this question. What was it like with your brother running the offense, right? at Texas Southern. Wait a minute. Hold on. And you running the defense. I see you smiling. Take me back just a little bit on elaborate on that experience for us, because y'all did damage down there together.
Well, you know how me and JC or Johnny, we came connected as coaches. He was coaching over in the German league, and I was the assistant head coach at the University of Cincinnati. And one of our coaches left, and I told our head coach to bring Johnny on over, and he brought Johnny over. And and I'm going to back that story up because I used to recruit down in Houston when Johnny was at Texas Southern. I was at Texas Southern University, and so Johnny would go recruiting with me. So I was just kind of taking him around while he was in school, and I come in there and feed him, and I would go back to New Mexico State. But when we started to talk about coaching, he kind of just groomed behind me. And then when I was at Cincinnati, I got him at University of Cincinnati because my mother said, "Now I know you guys got an opening at Cincinnati, so I know you're gonna bring your little brother-in-law." I said, "Yeah, Mom. I'm gonna call him on the phone, tell the head coach we want to hire him." Then I turn around. He the one kind of encouraged me to apply at Tennessee State because I was assistant head coach and outside linebacker coach for University of Cincinnati, and he told me to apply for Tennessee State. Otherwise, I would have never applied for Tennessee State. But before I interviewed for that job, I talked to some other coaches because I didn't want to get out of PWI football where we were big time major college football program to mess with Tennessee State. And then I interviewed at Tennessee State and I got the job. Well, I got that phone call from the house. My mother called me again. "I know you're taking your little brother with you." Hey, wasn't no ifs, no buts about it. He was coming, and I knew he was prepared anyway because he played quarterback. Been around some important people, came to different schools where I was at, and learned football. So I knew he was prepared to go. And so we got at Tennessee State. We just changed the whole culture of everything. I mean, we really changed the outlook of the way the players carried themselves, the way they talk, the way they dress. We changed everything about that whole program. And he just had that offensive mind. Everybody sometimes call him the genius, and that's what he was. He played quarterback. So he invented a lot of different things and formations. And that's why we broke records. That's why we won, because his creativity on that side of the football. And plus, when you know that you can put a job into someone's hand and know you don't have to worry about it, well, I can go home and sleep at night because I knew that's my brother and I knew what his ability was.
That's what I have noted. I had noted, Coach. I said, you must have slept good at night because you knew Johnny was going to bring it. His preparation was going to be 100.
Well, then I can always sometimes step away from, a head coach. You got to do a lot of different things. So if you want to run right the way you had built it, he was the guy for it. So I could go anywhere, and the program would just still be operating the same way, and I wouldn't even have to even worry about it. So that's where he came in at.
And it felt good to have him by your side as well in '99 and support you through the championship years, and things like that. When you guys won it back to back, it's always a beautiful thing to have the support of your family. Speaking of family, I am talking to a Cole. Now, you guys have learned, right? Coach Cole, the only black, first black. Let's just call it like it is. This is history, okay? I wish it was February right now. I'm gonna have to have you back, Coach. For we got to do something in February because there's a lot of things we need to highlight for that particular month for us. But listen, I want to highlight a little bit more on your family so people know exactly who I am here sitting with. Not only your success from college to the professional ranks and in coaching. Listen, let's speak on your family a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about Trent Cole, who played in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles and, to my understanding, had recently I believe they did something special for the Eagles over there, and he was a part of that ceremony. And I'm so happy. And elaborate also on your nephew, Norris Cole, who
Hmm.
played also in the NBA and won 2 championships in the NBA with the likes of Shaquille O'Neal and I'm sorry, with the likes of actually uh,
LeBron
LeBron
James.
James and Dwayne Wade. Can you
Yeah.
speak a little bit about a family and when y'all get together, when
Well, you
Noah,
know,
young nephew, when little nephew there, and Johnny there, and everybody, just tell us, man, how that sports conversation go.
when they were all young, we always did a lot of family things all the time, and I think that was a big part of their success is ingraining them how important education was, how hard it is that to practice if you want to make it. We are a very close knit family. Our brother and I, we got a little Twitter account and everything. We talk every day. We're talking every day about something or what's happening in the world or whatever's happening with our kids. So, if one of my brothers think he's got high blood pressure, then the next one gonna call and say, "Hey, look, you need to do this and do that." So, my older brother Norris is in front of me. That's his son is Norris Cole. So, and I'm gonna just tell you this so you understand. When you talk about our nieces and nephews, they all have the same name as their daddy do. So when you go, we say Norris number two or Trent Junior, you know Lawrence. All our kids got the same name we have. So that's how we
So
are.
you
So
got
that
to
tell you
go
how
by the
close.
one or the two or the three or the junior. Okay.
Yes. So that's how you have to go. But Trent was one of those guys. He came through, lived in Xenia, Ohio, and he's like I said, he's Trent behind me, named after his. I went to University of Cincinnati and played, but Trent do a lot of different things, and I'm just really proud of him. And they're getting ready to retire. They retired him at the Philadelphia Eagles, and all our brothers. He invited all us down. So you might look up and see us on TV because all my brothers were going to Philadelphia Eagles when they played. I think the 27th of November when they retired his number with the Philadelphia Eagles. So we all gonna be down there. Uh, Norris, the other one that played with the NBA, was the first round pick to the NBA. Norris was just a hard worker. And when you see Norris in high school, he was good in the classroom. He's an academic guy. He played quarterback. He ran track. He played baseball. So we encourage our kids to play every sports because you never know which one that you're going to excel in. Just like for me, I played football, basketball, ran track. So you just never know. And I decided to got a scholarship in football. So that was our thing, our motto in our family is just to push them into every sports and not do what I see now today that everybody's angling their kids into one sports. They won't just want to play football. They just want to play basketball, baseball. Put them in all the sports because you just never know where they might exceed at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A phenomenal success story that you guys just heard from Coach L.C. Cole, having siblings, family members. You talking, brothers and first cousins and things like that that have played professionally in the NBA and won national championships in the NBA and played in the NFL and uh, uh, brother Trent Cole being retired over in with the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I'll be tuning in, Coach. Absolutely, the 27th to see you guys. You already know I'll be tuning in on November 27th. And I'll be remiss if I didn't say this. I will continue to be messing with you and Johnny until I get Trent on the show, as well as until I get Norris on the show as well. So you guys that are listening in and you watch straight
And we'll
from the
get, hey,
source.
we'll
Uh,
get you on the show when we come to Philadelphia. And we'll sit down and I'll tell you we'll be with Trent on that
okay.
occasion. And I'll get you. We'll all be sitting there, and you can talk to him.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm making a note of that now, Coach. You know I'm a note taker. Let's see.
Also, what we talking to, I just want to give a shout out to all my classmates too, because they were part of, making me and everything. My other players on my team, just wasn't me.
Mhm.
I always just want to give credit to where it's due outside, because I think that is the most important thing to me, that that other people that were influenced in your life makes a big difference.
It does, and it's and we'd be remiss if we didn't shout out, because I was gonna do it anyway. Your beautiful queen, your wife. You can't do nothing. I know I can't do nothing without my wife. I tell you, man, that Linda Mitchell, she helps me tremendously. So we want to shout out your queen as well, your family, your children. Everything. It's all a collective uh, situation in which we grow in our success, coach, in our lives, in our professions.
I just say that. I, for me, for my life, I just had always been a server and not want to just for myself. I'd rather, be that provider, be that type of person. Given that's where our parents raised us, always out trying to help somebody else and not always not thinking about yourself.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, let's give a shout out to a few people I see that's in now. Delwan Lamar Mitchell, appreciate you chiming in. Know you're a sports fanatic. You enjoying this. Oh, yes. Clay Cole, we appreciate you there, Mr. Clay Cole, chiming on in. That's family right there. Dwayne Gamble Jr., we appreciate you chiming in. Somebody saying Coach LC, but I can't see who they are. Dougie DeMar Spears, one of the best youth development coaches in the city of Dayton with the Meadowdale Young Lions. He does a wonderful job. Hey, Coach, appreciate you chiming in. Mitzi Cole, we appreciate you chiming in. Said
That's
H.
my that's my significant other. That's my wife right there.
That's Mrs. Mitzi. Hello, hello, hello. We appreciate you chiming in. Absolutely. We just making sure that we give shout out to the queen. Absolutely. She said back to back OVC champions.
Well, you have to have a support person
Yes,
with you all the time, and I think coaches have to have a special wife, because if you don't have a special wife, you don't make it in this business, because of all the traveling you do and the time you spend out and things that people you're dealing with. You got to have somebody that's going to take care of your little one, the one that's going to support you, and you're home a lot. I'm not home a lot. You travel a lot, and that person's got to, believe in you and stick by your side. And I just been fortunate that I have a good wife for that.
appreciate you. Coach, what did they give you for coach of the year in 99? Like or 98 and 90 when you won it back to back. Did they give you a ring for that? Or was it a ceremony for that? What was it that they did for you? I know they did a major acknowledgement for you.
Well, you're probably going to be shocked. When we won the championship in 1998, that first championship, um, we went through trying to get the money. When you deal with our schools, it's tough time financially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a situation with the alumni where I was trying to raise money to build lockers and put people's names on them, and they would give us $300. So we raised about $50,000 because we was going to change the locker room situation at Tennessee State. Well, it came around that they built a new stadium downtown, which the Titans play at. That's where we was gonna play all our games. So I turned around and reversed the money back and ended up getting the guys using that money to get our guys rings. As far as myself, I think more of the support probably came from the American Coaches Association that ended up giving me awards, just like I won the Eddie Robinson Award. I was the first recipient of the Eddie Robinson Award that was given out. And, I cherish that award because I have that award sitting right behind me. And the reason I cherish that award is because I was at a coaching convention before I decided to take a job in black college football. And me and him, we were just kind of like sitting on the steps. And I asked him the question. I said about, I said, I'm going to interview at Tennessee State University. What you think about that? He said, well, you know, he said, you're a young guy. You've been at all the white schools coaching. You got a good resume. And he said, well, let me tell you something, young buck. He said, hey, our field is 100 yards long and it's 50 yards across. We play the same football you play with. Why not go over there and do the same thing in Black College? And when he told me that, and Jay-Z told me to interview, and I went with it. And then after that, everything has just been history.
Wow. Ever since. Coach, I got so many things in here. Let's keep it moving. All right. Let me ask you this. Can you speak a little bit on your coaching philosophy? We spoke about off camera about the cradle of coaches from Ohio. For a lot of people not from Ohio that may not know that are in college basketball, I'm sorry, college football lovers, we talking about your mentor, Nick Saban, Miami, Ohio. I'm gonna let you take over from here, Coach. And I think we spoke about some of those coaches. Can you elaborate on, did that influence you, in the way that you coach today?
Well, I always, and I'll put it this way: it's amazing that, and I think it started back when I was at the boys' club. I give a lot of credit to the boys' club for the coaches who coached me over there. My older brother coached me too. So when your older brother coaches you, he hard nosed because he was underneath of a guy named Jack Coach Hart at Dunbar High School when they won the city championship, and he was tough. I used to go down there to the practice every day and watch my older brother play. And when they didn't do things right, Coach Hart would have a little thing like a little whip, and he'd be hitting their legs and they'd be running and all that kind of stuff like that. If
Uh-huh.
you ask any of my coaches, any of my players who play for me, they're gonna say Coach Cole was running around there hitting him with that hat. I'll be popping him with that. That's just a habit. But I just always remember Coach Hart used to hit their legs and everything when they do things wrong and all that kind of stuff like that. So somehow I picked up that habit a little bit. But I always go and I look at my ninth grade year, and a guy by the name of Dutch Collins was my freshman basketball coach.
Remember Dutch, Coach Dutch?
And Coach Dutch was always the fundamentals. He was fundamentals. I
Yeah.
mean, we used to go out there and practice and don't shoot a basketball, be out there for 3 hours and not take one shot.
Yeah.
Everything was about fundamentals, 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 and being disciplined. And I just remember that. And he checked on our grades, and that was very important to me because I was fell in my algebra class, and he told us, bring your port card. And I brought my port card to him. He said, "You're a fellow in algebra." He said, "You're not gonna play." And I'm looking at him like, I got to play basketball. So he told me, he said, "You're gonna go to her class every day after school, and you're gonna sit in there, and she's gonna tutor you." And to this day, I always look at that and say, that was the determining point of making me who I am today because of him. Because he made me go back there because during that time you had to have core classes, and algebra was one of those classes that you had to have to go to college. And I ended up passing that class, and I go one more step with Coach Collins. We're getting ready for the championship game, my ninth grade year, because you're my ninth grade coach. So me and another guy got into it on the court, so he made us run around the court. So when I run around the court, me and this guy, we just jog and we just kind of like walking. And Coach Collins says, "You're done. You're finished. Go to the locker room." And then we looked at him like, "We going to play the championship game." He looked at us. He told us again, "You're done. You're finished here." And I'm not gonna say I was one of the star players, and the other guy was just a star
Right.
player. And we gonna play the championship, but he kicked us off the team.
Mm.
But he was able to convince, and then I had to go home and face the gun, and that was my mother and my father, buddy. And my mother and father took me back up there, and hey, no, they didn't play that with me and all that. Put me back on the team. We ended up winning the championship. But from that day point on, I always give a lot of respect to my ninth grade basketball coach. He did not play, and I talk to him today. I always talk to him all the time and just tell him how grateful I was what he did to me when I was in the ninth grade. 'Cause I think that was a starting point to make me understand about education, about discipline, and doing things that is right.
I appreciate you sharing that, Coach. Hello out there, Michael Eller. Appreciate you chiming in as well. Appreciate hearing from you, Mike. Glad you're enjoying the show. Eddie Robinson was on my list here. As you say, you were the first recipient of a wonderful, prestigious award, the legendary Coach Eddie Robinson. What was it like meeting him? What was it like, just chopping it up with him, Coach? And share a little bit of that with us.
See, and I was one of them guys because of Johnny, my brother. He was in HBU, so I would go down there and look. When they used to play them in a game down in Houston, I would go down there, and he would get me over there to meet Eddie Robinson. I'd meet with him and talk with him, and get to feel with Eddie Robinson, and see how he won all these championships, and just seeing how disciplined he was. And that's what he ran. He ran a disciplined football program. He dressed like a coach. He wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
coach that dressed in
Mm-hmm.
sweatpants and different things like that. He always dressed professionally, had a tie. And that's when I started coaching in my head coach, I made my staff. We always dressed professionally and carried ourselves in a different manner than the other black coaches, or the way we dress. And we made our kids do the same thing when we traveled. They was in suit and tie and all that. We didn't have warm ups on and all the different things like that. We dressed professionally everywhere we went. And then you came down about the academics. That was a pet peeve of mine, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that academically, that's what you know our kids go to school for. You go to school to get an education, because you got to make them understand that they're not going to be able to run and jump and play football all your life. So you got to get something
Right.
upstairs. So that was very important to me when I went into the home and talked to their parents. That's why we was able to recruit good players, because I think the parents believe in what we were trying to do at Tennessee State, where it all started at.
Appreciate you sharing that, Coach. I'm gonna throw a few more out there to you. Obviously, did you ever have an opportunity? I'm just saying this because to meet the voice of HBCU football, Charlie Neal.
Yes, I met Charlie Mill. Yes, we played Jackson State. He was always the TV announcer, announcing our games when we were on TV.
Yeah, he's been on the show, a guest, really nice person of mine. I got him on my phone. He stays right not too far from me in Maryland, and supposed to be getting with him. I call him Uncle Charlie. We getting together and hopefully go up there and see him at his home. So I keep you posted on that. I'm gonna take some big pictures with Uncle
It
Charlie.
was good. And why I'm announcing too, I want to, we talking about HBU coaches, and we talking about the cradle coaches. See, it's amazing. If you look at my background, Pete Richardson coached me too. Pete
Yeah.
Richardson coached me in high school. And a lot
Yes.
of people don't know that, but Pete was one of them disciplined guys too. We always knew when Pete eyes started rolling around at you and everything, Pete was mad. But Coach Richardson was a great football coach. He went to Southern and won something like 7 SWAC conference championships. So he coached
Absolutely.
me. So he coached me through school too. So when you start looking through my career, you say, yeah, this guy been with Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, Pete Richardson, Eddie Robinson. See, so I'm not just one of these guys that didn't come out of a great cradle of coaches that coached me coming up. So I was well groomed to when I became a head coach, because I've been through some meat grind coaches.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, Coach Richardson is another that absolutely that I'm reaching out to get on the show. Phenomenal resume, Coach Richardson. Another one, and I know you probably know Coach Billy Joe was over at
Yes.
Central State back in the day. Definitely a phenomenal legend that I'm going to reach out and try to get on the show. Coach, tell us a little bit about the experience at the Bayou Classic.
As which classic?
The Bayou Classic. Did you ever attend one of the Bayou Classics?
No, that's the Bayou Classic is in was against the
Mm-hmm.
SWAC. See, when I was in
Mm-hmm.
at Tennessee State, it was Division II. We would go to the playoffs.
Hmm.
Now I've been in the Magic City Classic, the Turkey Day Classic. Now
Yeah.
those classics, yeah, they're
Okay.
almost the
That's what I
same.
wanted you to hit on. You've been to some of them big, and I'm telling y'all, it's an experience. It's phenomenal football. I want you to speak a little bit about, Coach, what the level of competition is like. When you're speaking about the SIAC, okay, or whether you're speaking about the SWAC, perhaps, but just HBCU football, and speak a little bit about the level of competition. If it's, I just want to say this. If I'm not mistaken, correct me, Coach, but I think it's more football players in the Hall of Fame that come out of HBCUs than anywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You think about it, back in the day at Tennessee State, they had Too Tall Jones, Richard Dent, Kinnebrew. You go through a whole sleet of coaches. You go to Jackson State, you go through a whole sleet of coaches. You go to Texas Southern, all those guys. During that time, uh, they were dominating professional football.
Yeah.
Um, I think now, since the gate been open, that kids can go anywhere they want to. When it changed from the '60s to the '70s and at get to the '80s, everything just started changing because black athletes started going to your predominantly white schools, and it just kind of diminished black college a little bit. We were able to fight through it a little bit because being my background, being HBUs and being in white college, I was able to bring in different types of players. I knew coaches in the white schools that I was able to get kids that were disgruntled to come to Tennessee State, some pretty good players. We had a lot of Division I football players at Tennessee State and Alabama State.
Wow. Well, I know that this leads me to another direction. Let me give a shout out also to Jamie Eaton, best coach in Wilcox Central history. Appreciate you chiming in, Jamie. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. So glad I got a chance to play for Coach, he says as well. We appreciate that.
He was a
Coach
great
so
running back.
humble, right, Jamie?
He was a great running back down there. That's down there, Wilcox. That's in the black belt of Alabama.
Absolutely. I'm gonna get to Alabama before I go too. Let me ask you this real quickly. We ain't gotta spend a lot on it, but in today's times, we gotta mention this. There's something called, whether it's unfair, whether it's racism, whether it's systematic, we don't know. Your brother Johnny runs an incredible show. He has a podcast, and he highlights a lot of information that's going on that a lot of people just don't seem to want to talk about, and it's sad because there's a disparity among a coach with your knowledge, your resume. There's no way that you should be making, I'm gonna say, X amount of dollars here when another coach don't even have the resume that you have, right, Coach Cole? But
Right.
yet they're making more money and working at maybe a bigger, more prestigious, quote unquote, name school. What do we have to do to get the playing field evened, if so to speak, where coaches at predominantly black schools, HBCUs, schools that are NCAA Division II, and schools that are one division AA. What can we do, Coach, to get more recognition for these coaches to get paid?
Well, it come like I say, a lot of people come from experience. I mean, when you look at myself and how I came through it, I worked my way up to experience. In order to get higher pay, you got to get experience. And what I'm saying is for black colleges, and when I look at it, and you look at the SWAC, you look at the SWAC, and you look at there's more almost balance of white coaches and black coaches. Why is that? It shouldn't be. See, when a white coach goes to a black school, What is he coming there for? Because he's not warming up where he's at. See,
Mm,
so down where we at, we hire them guys. But see, we don't
mm,
have any young coaches coming along right now. If you look at Black College, we don't have graduateship, with GAs and quality control guys. We don't have that in Black College. If you go to a Black College, you don't have what the NCAA give you a certain amount of coaches, 11 coaches. Half the time you're out there fighting with maybe 6 or 5 coaches. See, I think Black College football don't understand that they have an avenue. But if they could just turn around and fix up their own conferences, because think about it, when Jackson State, Grambling, and when the SWAC used to play, the games used to be packed. Used
yes.
to be packed. Now we just don't fade it away. You have to put money into things if you want it to be something. When you look at our facilities at black colleges, you're not gonna get no black kid come to a stadium that you don't have a. Most of these kids locker rooms at the high school is better than the colleges you go to.
Mm,
And you just have to
mm-hmm,
go around. We have to fix our own before we start reaching out across over there.
mm-hmm.
That was the reason why I left White College because I knew I never was going to become a head coach. If you think about what we accomplished at Tennessee State, Alabama State, just like you just said, and the people that I was affiliated with, I'm not a head coach at one of these PWIs. It's
Wow.
just amazing. And we just need to fix our own. I think black college could be great, but we need to fix it ourselves. Fix the stadium, fix our recruit, put the money into the programs, make a better conference. When you look at the SEC now, they get USC. They brought Texas A&M. They bring in Texas A&M. See,
Yeah.
people like that attractive. So you can make a black All American conference. Bring Alabama A&M, bring Alabama State, Florida A&M,
Jackson
bring all them
State.
in there and make an
Mm-hmm.
All American Black Conference and sell that to the black kids and black people to come to those games. They'll come to the game if they went to put it this. If they went to these what you call these classics, that's all the classic is. They're playing another team across the conference over there. Now, why not bring them all into an All American Black Football Conference? And you're just amazing how much money you can get and all that.
Coach, you might be on to something right here. Y'all heard it straight from the source. If we end up seeing a formulated all black HBCU power conference, Coach spoke it right here. You heard it. I mean, that
Let me tell
sounds like
you
a great
something.
idea.
And while we talking this, while we sitting there, Florida A&M is exactly what I'm talking about. That is a shame. That is a shame that 25 guys ineligible. The guy who handles academic is also the financial aid director. Come on, how you be financial aid director and also compliance officer taking care of eligibility?
I know, right?
That's like me being, hey, that's like me trying to drive a train and a plane, operating both of them at the same time.
Wow.
Because the plane gonna crash and the train gonna run off the tracks. Just what
Wow.
it happened down at FAMU.
Wow. Well, I know one thing. When these guys start playing each other, that says a lot. I would love to see, some of the bigger power conferences, give opportunity. If we could just start seeing some games. I don't even think that they schedule enough, to say, for example, okay, if you feel you can beat us and you're bigger, then schedule us, because you got a non-conference schedule every year. You're gonna schedule 4 or 5 non-conference games,
Right.
at least 3. I mean, why not give it a shot? Or let's put up some type of conference national play-in like they do with the playoffs on the
Right.
PWI side or something. I mean, I just would love to see something more brung to it. I have a coach, and let me mention him anyway, Coach Cleo Hill over at Winston-Salem State University, basketball coach, friend of mine. I'm trying to get Coach. It used to be a big rivalry between North Carolina Central and Winston-Salem State. I'm trying to get them, coach. I'm trying to start something where I can get them back playing. And Coach Cleo is like, I love to play North Carolina Central again. And it's like some of those rivalries need to come back. We need
Yeah.
those
No,
traditional
I
rivalries.
agree. I agree with you. You know, just like you was talking about the classic in New Orleans. That classic has gone down to almost nothing.
Yeah,
The Turkey Day Classic was one of the oldest classics in black college football. It is it is vanished, and that's what I'm saying. You got to take care of your own house before you can move forward. Clean your own house up, and
yes.
black college football has been around a long, long time. A lot of great players. It can be that, but you got to clean your own house up before you start reaching outside.
You're absolutely right, Coach. Let me say this to you guys, too. We're getting close to wrapping the show up. Coach Cole has coached collegiately. Are you ready for this now? All right. He's at Allen right now, University in South Carolina, NCAA Division II schools, defensive coordinator. But he's been at Ball State University D1. He's been at Kansas State University Division I. He's been at University of Wisconsin in the Big Ten. He's been at Toledo University in the MAC. He's been at Morgan State University in Baltimore. He's been the head coach at Stillman University as well. He's been at two Concordia universities. He's also been at Eastern Michigan University. He's been at the University of Cincinnati and I believe the University of Indiana. And I'm probably leaving someone out. But with your resume, to not be wherever you choose to be as a coach is just beyond me. Coach, when you were at, it's beyond me, Coach. It's beyond me. When you were at, I just want you to elaborate a little bit about so they can see what you did on the high school level. I've been excited about this question. Tell me a little bit about, did you go undefeated for 2 years at Lanier High School in Alabama?
We didn't go undefeated, but what we did is I took a program that probably had probably won almost 20 years at the school. So when I took the job at the school, we only had maybe 36 football players. We took 36 football players and almost went to the state championship game. It was kind of like a miracle just to see how it went, because the kids were in love with the coach that was already there. So when they decided to hire me to be the football coach, the kids didn't want to come out. So when we first started, I started out with three football players. And then after three football players, the kids would come and look outside the gate and see what's going on, and we would go. And then all of a sudden, I went up to 10 football players. Then I went up to 15 football players. And I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think I made a bad choice coming to Lanier High School. But next thing I know, we got up to number 30, 36 players, and we redid the locker room, and the kids came in there and helped me build the locker room and put carpet, and we put air conditioning in there. They were almost sleeping there all day. I had to send them home because they would every day would just come and be ready to practice, coach, and never would want to go home. And we start feeding them a little food there, and the kids just bought in, and it just was I'd say it was a miracle that we won all those games, and every year we went to the championship. That was just
I mean, that's a phenomenal job that you did. I mean, that's like, that's all. I mean, that's crazy, really, what you did. That was phenomenal. Was
those
your
kids
welcome sort of the same when you went back to Stillman?
went to Stillman.
Yeah, how was your welcome when you went back over to Stillman, too, by the way?
Stillman was a private school. It was I only went to Stillman one time. I left Stillman. I came from Texas Southern to Stillman College, and
Mm.
Stillman was a private school in Tuscaloosa. I was right around the corner from the University of Alabama, so that really helped us out a lot because I would get players from the University of Alabama just to tell Coach Saban, the guys are not unhappy. You can send them over to our place. So that was always the connection in college football that really helped me out a lot of being at all these different schools and knowing all these different coaches would send me players, and it helped us out winning.
You guys hear that? Coach got a lot of connections. You know that, I have a recruiting service where we trying to always look and keep our eye out for basketball and football players that, have the grades and want to get in school. And a lot of times people don't know when if you go to an HBCU, if you've got a certain grade point average, you guys listening out there, if you got a certain, let's just say you're a 3 point or 3.1, 3.2, 3.5 on up, the better your grades, the more money a historically black college can get for you too. Right, Coach?
Right. You have to understand about scholarships. When most HBUs, when you get down there, your scholarship is kind of a combination mixed up. You're gonna get so much money over here, then you get your Pell, you get your academic money, and they put a package for you. When you go to one AA black schools, you can get a full scholarship. If you
Okay.
go to 1A, you can get a full scholarship, which is everything is taken care of. So it's the different levels that you go to. So when you go to Division II black schools, you expect to get some scholarship money, but you can get academic, you can get your Pell money and guaranteed student loans that you can receive when you come. And that's where here at our we do give scholarships here at our university, but also we give academic money, and then you fill out your other financial situation.
All right. Listen, you guys. Hey, Carolyn Mitchell, appreciate you timing in. That's like my mama right there. That's my oldest sister. I call her my mama. Our mother gone on to glory. She said, Coach, that was God and his favor. Everything that's happening in your life. We appreciate it. And believe me, he knows. He knows.
Yeah, we got a big one this weekend. Uh, we play, and this is our opening. And this team we're playing, Newberry, they're ranked 15th in the nation. So we got our hands full. So I think we'll be ready, though. I think we are.
15th in the nation. You new to this particular school here at Allen University. Just give us a quick insight on what it's like there at Allen, NCAA Division II. You guys going up against the 15th ranked team in the country in Newberry. What's the expectations for the season, in your opinion?
Well, since I've been here, things has been pretty good. The kids have been working very hard, very hard. I mean, I'm getting after them. We coach them real hard. I think sometimes they look at me and see me coming. They say, "Oh boy," but I just know one thing. I know how to get it done. I know how to put the pedal down, and know how to pull the pedal off a little bit right now. So now we're getting close to game time, so I'm pulling back a little bit. But I think we're gonna be all right. I think, and I'll say this to you, because it's almost like when I was at Tennessee State University in 1998 when I stood up on the podium and I told them that we are going to compete for the conference championship. And I still see it this day that them reporters, they laughed, and I seen the expression on their face. But I knew what we had. And I feel the same way here right now at Allen University, that we got a better football program than a lot of people are giving us respect for. So we're going to find out.
Wow, man, we getting ready to find out. Y'all heard it. Coach been all over the place, y'all. Coaching NCAA Division I level. Now he's at the NCAA Division II level. He's won conference and championships and things, and he's a phenomenal player. He's won, Orange Bowl rings at Nebraska. Played for the legendary Tom Osborne. Just a phenomenal person. So for any athletes, any coaches listening in out there, I want you to take a look. You're an athlete, you want to go to play at the NCAA Division II level in football, it's an opportunity to play Allen University. Look it up in South Carolina. Follow Coach. You can follow Coach too. Just want you guys to know that you can follow Coach Cole. He's on Twitter a lot. You can look him up. I'm on Twitter as well. It's LC Cole. That's LCCOLE at Cole COLE, the number 2 Coach. Let me repeat that for you. That's LC Cole at Cole to Coach. COACH. Absolutely. Just want you
I'm
guys to follow him. Coach, was
gonna
there
give a
any other
shout. Hey,
things you want to
give
say?
another shout out to my wife Mitzi. I'm all
Oh,
right.
we
I'm
always want to
fine.
give us.
And Clay, I'm doing fine. So
Y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. Listen, Clay, doing wonderful. Mom Mitzi, listen, doing wonderful. We appreciate you so much for the impact you've had on Coach life, uh, Mrs. Cole, and just a phenomenal family. And again, you'll be seeing some more interviews too. And hopefully, you get a chance to say something to my wife. Let me give a little shout out and do a little quick commercial break here, Coach. So I want to say something for those individuals who looking to improve their health, your health and wellness, right? So if you looking to improve your health and wellness, right? What you need to be looking at is CMOS. What CMOS is something that provides you minerals, right? For your body, to your enzymes. It's different. They're different from supplements because with supplements, all you do is urinate them out at the end of the day. But minerals stay with you, and you need 92 of those 102 minerals. You just need those minerals. Let me tell you how you can get minerals in your body. You can reach us, David and Linda, my wife, at Sweetheart Mitchell Collection. Again, that's Sweetheart Mitchell Collection, www.sweetheartmitchellcollection.com. Let me give you a phone number on that too for those who listening. 757-797-0808. Again, 757-797-0808. Listen, not only do we have CMOS for your immune system, but we have elderberry syrup, Coach, right? That fights against all the different viruses. We have whipped shea butters, okay? Everybody needs to moisturize, right? And it's all natural, okay? We have fresh cold pressed juices. You got to get your fresh cold pressed juices these days. We have massage candles, right? And essential oils and more. Just wanted to make sure I got that commercial in for us. Listen, Coach, I think we done pretty much wrapped it up. Did you and Coach? Did you and how many times did you hit Coach Saban up for lunch when you was down there at Stillman?
well, Stillman, we were just right around the corner. But I'll say this: I think my wife, she more close to Coach Saban than I am. I think she called him. He does anything for her, so I don't know what the magic is there, but they have a close knit relationship, and anything we need, anything, he's always at our service and stuff.
No, we appreciate it. We got a lot of respect for Coach Nick Saban. Anybody out of Ohio, and we just got our certain thing. We knew how we came up. When you from Ohio, you learn that basketball and you learn that football. You got all the fundamentals. That's for sure. You got great coaching when we were coming up, and it stuck with us for the rest of our lives. Well, I appreciate you so much, man, for being on the show. And listen, I'm gonna take you up on that. I got us marked down for November 27th, but me and you will be in talk several times in
Yeah,
between that time before
yeah.
November.
I'll be in Philadelphia because I'm. He's bringing us all to Philadelphia for that ceremony, so we'll be there.
And we'll get an interview set up and be able to say some very, very encouraging words and get some more flowers to Mr. Trent Cole for his Philadelphia Eagles career. And we'll work on Norris too. We got to
Right.
get the championship. Got to get championship with Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne Wade. I'm so proud of him. He's still playing overseas, correct?
Yes, he's still overseas. Yes.
So soon as he get that squared away, maybe I have to get Norris before. I don't know, but we'll talk off camera about that. Coach, it's been a blessing. Everyone that chimed in, I appreciate you chiming in. This will play again. You guys can come back in and replay it all the time. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube, and you can check us out immediately on Twitter. The video go out right now immediately after this broadcast.
All right.
Listen,
Give me
Coach
a
Cole,
shout out to that Wolverine Nation, Dunbar Wolverine
Dunbar.
Nation.
Dunbar Wolverine Nation, you know, you guys watching. There's going to be a lot of chiming in later. You know, I text my sister-in-law, Fran Mitchell. She's a Dunbar Wolverine high school graduate, 1974, I think. She was Francis Wilkinson then. Francis Wilkinson then. Yep, Francis Wilkinson then. Yeah, I hit her up.
And she graduated in 74. I had to know her.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll make sure you know. Yeah, you gonna be, oh, I remember Fran. And my brother ended up marrying Bob, who played his Stivers defensive end. Yep. He ended up marrying. They've been together now about 40 years, Coach. About 40 years. Shout out Johnny, you know, Rochester Dixon, you know, the Cash brothers, you know, what we just keep going and on and on and on when you talk about Dunbar and that history over there, man. It's been amazing. Appreciate you, Coach, for being on the show. Everybody, you stay tuned. We're going to have another wonderful guest coming on the show soon. I'll keep you posted and keep you updated. We'll also have more lovely guests on from the Cole family as well. So y'all stay tuned. We appreciate you tuning in with David Mitchell and Straight from the Source. And with that, we out, y'all. We appreciate you. Coach, you stay right there. I'm going to say bye to you.
All right.